Madekabandho matsanghi madguru manmahadana manishtarakaba madbhagya madananda namostute. Oh, Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is such a well-wisher, such a friend. And I'm really experiencing that. Srimad Bhagavatam is that best friend, the only friend. Madekabandhu matsanghi. Guru Man Mahadana is also a spiritual master and my greatest wealth. Oh God, I'm really experiencing that. Srimad Bhagavatam is that wealth.
Absolutely, yes.
The treasure house of knowledge to come to Krishna. You see, I was thinking about Rasasali Mataji, the question about knowledge. Yesterday, like you were asking about knowledge, and I was thinking, I think the right answer is knowledge itself. For example, knowledge of Krishna. That's perfect, completely perfect. Knowledge of anything else can be misused, but knowledge of Krishna, how can you misuse it? So I was thinking all these social things like, oh, women are less intelligent. Those kind of things can be misused, but oh, Krishna is so beautiful. How can you misuse that knowledge? Krishna is so, like we cannot misuse knowledge about Krishna. I was just thinking about that, how when it's directly connected to Krishna, it's perfect. Knowledge is always perfect. And of course, knowledge of Krishna doesn't necessarily mean we have the emotion for Krishna. Like we not be in love or not have that bhava. But it's a good meditation, knowledge of Krishna. If we are attracted to knowledge, let's develop knowledge of Krishna. Then it's perfect.
Yes.
I don't know, I'll get this over. So, okay, we're in the 7th chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnanatimirannasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bodhale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Further inquiries by Vidhura. Vidhura raises doubts he has heard from atheistic empirical philosophers who argue that as the material energy comes from Vishnu, he must be influenced by illusion. Maitreya refutes this argument, describing the Lord's supreme position. Vidhura then asks many questions with a desire to dispel misunderstanding and spiritually harmful misconceptions. The sun was low in the sky. Its reddish rays shimmered on the gently flowing river. Birds sang their twilight melodies as they returned to their nests in the great branches of the ancient fig tree. As Maitreya added kindling to the fire, Vidhura sat deep in thought. Maitreya's wondrous descriptions of the universe had thrilled him, but he knew that there were many philosophers who could not comprehend the Lord's creation pastimes. This was especially true of the Sankhya philosophers who followed the atheistic Kapila and the Nyaya and Vaisheshika thinkers who followed Gautama and Kanada. Such speculators could not reconcile how an all-spiritual God could produce the material nature. Would that not mean that he had material qualities? As far as they were concerned, both spirit and matter were eternal and had no origin. By chance, they became conjoined due to their proximity, and thus brought about the material creation. If there was a God, he merely manipulated these external existences, but did not create them. After all, spirit was changeless, but matter was ever changing. So how could it exist within a spiritual God? On this basis, some of them denied there was any supreme person. They argued that all of us, Krishna and his incarnations included, were just parts of the eternal spiritual reality that had somehow become covered by matter. The fact that the avatars became involved in the worldly activities, playing with friends, dancing with girls, only confirmed this truth. Remembering their wordjuggery and how difficult he had found it to refute them, Vidhura's mind became disturbed. Maitreya said, "You seem troubled, my friend." Vidura smiled at the sage and thanked him effusively for his profound instructions. "Your words fill me with joy, but I have more questions. Since the Lord is the complete, unchanging spiritual whole, as you have confirmed, how can the modes of nature, which are always generating change, come from him?" Let's pause here. This is Krishna's way of protecting his internal pastimes, okay? Like all these things, like, oh, how can Krishna's avatars be engaged in worldly activities like playing with friends and dancing with girls? How is it even possible? All those things, that must mean he's not really God. Yesterday also, I was speaking with Savitri Mataji, and she was explaining about the manjaris and how there are so many circles and inner circles, and the innermost manjari circle is only women and only this, and now there are like levels and layers. It's not like everybody has access to everything. And same like our human beings, we all have intimacy levels that we can open up to people in our life based on our relationship. So similarly, Krishna is a person. He doesn't like to be known for his deep, compassionate, merciful, emotionally attuned to the jiva's side to him, and at the same time his power and potency. He doesn't want that to be cheap and exposed to anybody, any random speculator, any kind of atheist who's trying to analytically understand God. He's like, okay, good luck, keep doing that, see you next life in your attempts to feel more frustrated. So Krishna is like, he guards his leelas, he protects his devotees, he protects his leelas so it doesn't become cheap. Any questions or comments? Okay. Would somebody like to continue reading?
I'll be able to read another 5 minutes because I'm in a moving
Okay.
card.
Okay. Okay, I can continue. If he personally creates the material nature with its manifold qualities, how can he be free of material attributes? After all, he's never separate from his energies. So the material nature and her three modes must also be within him. How then is he completely spiritual? Maitreya, sensing there was more on Vidura's mind, waited patiently. Vidura collected his thoughts and continued, "O learned one, in the material world, all desire is born of the mode of passion. For example, boys are enthusiastic to play with other boys in this world because of such desire. Krishna, however, is completely satisfied and detached from material enjoyment, since the Lord is not moved by passion. What impels him to create, maintain, and destroy the cosmos? In the light of the leaping flames, Vidura could see that Maitreya's eyes had grown wide. He was plainly astonished that Vidura doubted Krishna's infallibility. Let's pause there. So, yeah, it can be difficult for mundane mind to understand how Krishna, he's Atma Rama and he's Ananda Ramana, he's always happy, he's always content, he's always satisfied, and he doesn't have to depend on other women or devotees to worship him to feel that he's God. He doesn't, he's like, even as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was so secure about himself. He was not minding to be corrected by devotees, or as Krishna, he didn't mind being Partha-Sarathi. It's Krishna is not, and also he has his special compassion towards women. You can see any women demon or etc. He always was like, he always gave them the best gati or like that. Like he always gave them the best destination, and he was always like protective. That's Krishna, right? He has this personality. And material enjoyment, he doesn't need that, but he does all the pastimes to fulfill the desires of the devotees. What a God, right? So merciful Krishna. And similarly also Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, we can see in Chaitanya Leela, time and again Mahaprabhu is doing things to please the devotees. It was not for himself, like even taking sannyas itself, he did it as a sacrifice. Devotees were just like heartbroken to see him as a sannyasi, but he was willing to sacrifice for the bigger cause. So he's very detached. He's very detached. That's why detachment is very attractive. And we should follow our Lord. Detachment is not the point. Detachment of the material world is not the point. It's not the goal. Attachment to Krishna is the goal. When we become attached to Krishna, we become naturally detached to anything material, or Krishna empowers us and we can turn the material things into spiritual things. That's the beauty. I like this thing, like in the light of the leaping flames, Vidura could see that Maitreya's eyes had grown wide. He was plainly astonished that Vidura doubted Krishna's infallibility. Vidura quickly reassured him. I know Krishna is the supreme Lord, proprietor and controller of the illusory energy Maya, but by his order, Maya manifests the three modes of nature to create, maintain, and dissolve the universe. Still, I'm sometimes confused how to rebut the false arguments I hear. Reassured, Maitreya encouraged Vidura to reveal all his doubts. Vidura sighed, remembering the many perplexing atheistic arguments he had heard. Pause here. This is very interesting for us, okay? Of course, this Vidura, okay, he's Yamaraj, it's the god of justice, and all his questioning is meant for clarifying for the rest of humanity. At the same time, for us, when we have doubts, they are like demons. They grow, and then they become big in our head. And therefore, we need to address it. Just like great devotees, we need to address it, like Parikshit, like Vidura, to not keep doubts. And another thing I'm thinking is also association. Depending on who we associate with, there are some people who always have a problem for every solution. I've been thinking about this. There's always some people, like, for example, I have a mind, like, I'm always looking for solutions. So when I read something, when I find some peace, and then, wow, this is such a nice explanation about Krishna. We learn some verse in Bhagavatam that describes something, and the mind rests, like mind says, yeah, that makes so much sense. And we find solace, right? But there are some other people whose minds are like always ready to find a problem for every solution. And then they come up with, yeah, but what about this? Yeah, but come on, how can you create something material if you're not material? How can you create something in 3 modes if you're not controlled by 3 modes? And like people can be like very uh, pessimistic in like a faithless way, you know, and then it becomes difficult for us also, because depending on our how strong our faith is, we can get influenced by them. This is a lesson for us. If we associate with people who, like, really, I'm not talking about just philosophical conclusions. I'm talking about any random Mataji you associate with, anybody we associate with, those we regularly see and hear, and oh, you know, we get their, what do you call it? We get in touch with their faith, the depth of their faith, that we get in touch with their doubts as well. So if we are with people who are very expert at finding problems to every solution of life, we will also feel like Vidura is feeling. Like what he's feeling, he's disturbed, he is bewildered, he's, you know, all these perplexing arguments depresses him. Similarly, for us too, it depresses us. Even in my profession, I can see when I used to do like counseling, when I do astrological readings, etc. If I keep seeing clients who don't have faith, they keep coming asking, you know, like really they don't have much faith. They don't want to do spiritual things. Day before yesterday, I had a client that gave some mantra to chant for as a remedy. And they were like, no, I don't want to chant this. You know, is there something rational way to solve this problem? And like, no, sorry, that has been your problem since lifetimes. You're trying to rationally figure out, but it's not going to work. You need to surrender. You need to give, and you need to give yourself to the holy name. Nami. Nam reveals the Nami. So holy name is the way. But the person didn't want to chant mantras like that. So the soul does become affected by association. Even a great person like Vidura, listening to all these empirical philosophers and atheistic arguments, he was also disturbed. And then these doubts would not bother his faith, but it would bother his ability to relate to the world. It would bother his ability to think in ways that are uplifting. This is I find it very huge lesson for me. I must be careful who I associate with. Sometimes when we cannot find good association, we must create a sangha so that Krishna can send like-minded people. I'm talking from experience. I used to have some really good friends, but they didn't have time, or it would be hard for us to study, or it would be hard for us to like sit and discuss on a regular basis. So then I was praying, and then Krishna gave the opportunity, like, why don't you start? Like, so I'm so grateful. We are just, it's just us today. And it feels so like wise. It's so wise to come together, like-minded people. It's better to be 3 of us instead of 30 of us. If we are not having the same goal. And what's our goal? To be free from all these doubts and to have our faith strongly established, so we can let Krishna's will prevail, so we can advance and progress towards developing Krishna, love for Krishna, developing love for Nitai Gaura, developing love for the love and faith in Prabhupada's words, and become part of his mission. And it's so precious, it's so valuable. So if you don't get association, we should be careful where we take association.
Yeah, so well said. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is like Vidura having doubts, which is like, wow, so perplexing, right? Like
Sorry?
association. And this is like Vidura, Mahatma Vidura, he's having doubts, and it's very perplexing to even see Vidura, like, raising such kind of a question. So Vidura's great consciousness, which is absorbed in the Supreme Lord Krishna, who he interacted with, and who he had so much of awe, respect, and love for, if he could feel like that, because of his association, think about ordinary conditioned souls. Oh my God, in Kali Yuga like us. Wow, so beautiful.
Sadhu Sangha, right? Lava matra
What
Sadhu Sangha. Lava,
service, yeah.
but the opposite also. Lava matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy means a second of pure devotees association can uplift us like anything spiritually, or Lava matra Dusanga, even a second of bad association can bring us down. So it's also it is also very true. I just wanted to say that Vidura, it's not that his consciousness is affected here. It's like I know some devotees, even like sometimes Savitri Mataji, consciousness is in place, but emotionally and mentally they can become disturbed if somebody
Got it.
says something weird, or it's like same with body, right? Somebody may be a pure devotee, not affected. The consciousness is never affected by pains of the body, or strokes, or cancer, or changing organs, or whatever, right? It cannot touch their consciousness, but still it's a botheration.
Yeah.
Botheration. So I think Vidura is bothered. He's bothered by all these it's like flies around you, mosquitoes coming around you and buzzing. And my understanding is also Vidura's botheration is not that his mind is bothered by the questions, but he's bothered to see, because he's compassionate, right? He's Yamaraj, right? He's incarnation of justice. So when he sees that people are on the wrong path, people are thinking all these stupid doubts and questions, and it disturbs him because these people are lost. I'm just saying, of course, I'm not comparing myself with Vidura. I'm just saying I get it. I have glimpses of it. Like sometimes I know astrologically people are doing the wrong thing in their life, wrong decisions, maybe divorcing is the wrong thing, and they're trying to do it or something, and they're just not in a position to listen. And they have all these arguments and logical, analytical, rational, this, that bullshit, sorry, all that. And then I see them and I feel compassion. And they agitate me, they irritate me. It's not that my faith in Krishna is agitated or affected or like that at all. But I do feel sad that why these people are so careless like that. So it does bother me. The other day after a reading, it was bothering me that why this person just doesn't understand that for them to progress, they should stop doing this and they should do this. Why they don't want to take shelter? It bothers me because of them not doing the right thing. So it's like a concern of a fatherly, motherly concern.
It could also be raising from like what Krishna says in the Gita, right? A person whose sinful reactions in the past lives is not yet completely done, and even this life, if those sinful reactions has completely not stopped, the person is unable to like take on to the process of bhakti. It's very difficult because they don't have that piety to adhere to like what do you say, good advice. They don't have the piety. They just don't have it. So it can be created by, I don't know, probably if they can do some charity, give some prasadam to others or donations or something like some way which is very feasible for them, so that the piety can be created. Then the instruction. Actually, when I'm saying this, I'm just thinking some of these astrologers, they usually say that, right? Oh, you have to do this yagna, you have to do this charity, all that. Why should you do that? So that some piety is created. With that piety, hopefully some faith will also come that, I can chant the mantra, I can do something.
Exactly. But people don't understand that. They don't understand the question.
Yeah. they usually think that, oh my God, do this, do that. These people are always behind, like, always behind. Reach out, do this, yagna, worship this temple, go to that temple. They'll just take it like, it's like that's probably because they're creating that, piety for them. They just don't have it. It just doesn't exist in them. Yeah, now I've understood.
Yeah, that's absolutely the idea of astrology also remedies. People don't have faith. Okay, wear this stone, chant this mantra, go get some snake skin and keep it because your Ketu is trashed. All these kind of ideas, right? It's basically to create faith in the minds of people. And yes, doing certain kind of things create certain kind of faith. So ultimately, it's to give intelligence so that you are able to use your free will in the right way. Oh boy, that's hard. And like you were saying, I like the point that they need to be engaged somehow cleverly. Like depending on the level of the person, we need. And in this case, Vidhura is concerned because these are like all these are atheistic empirical speculators who are posing themselves as teachers of the world, of humanity. They're confuse everybody.
Talk about Kali Yuga. Talk about Kali Yuga. That's exactly what we have now, right? Everybody poses as gurus and oh my God, and it's everywhere, right? They speak so much, like they know so much. It's all like they don't even understand, and they're just word jugglery. My God, it happens so much, and they have so many followers who blindly follow them.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking specifically of that sad guru.
Sad guru?
Sadguru, that guy.
Oh, Sadguru. I heard a sad guru. His speeches are like really wise, like with so much of conviction, faith.
That's the point here. When we are listening to these things, it's not that these atheistic people or this, what they are speculators and impersonalists. It's not that they are just speaking nonsense. They're speaking so much sense, but then there's no Krishna there. There is no... The intention is so different. It's so devious. It's like Putana becoming like mother, trying to nourish you and feed you. Sometimes even devotees send me videos of him. And I'm like shocked because it can be, it's like, what's that expression? In the garb of the sheep?
A wolf in the garb of a sheep.
Yeah, wolf in the garb of sheep is exactly what these people are these days. They don't want Guru Sadhu Shastra. They just want to become the Guru. They want to become the Sadhu. They want to be the Shastra. They don't want to...
But Prabhupada says, right? I heard like Prabhupada saying, people want to be cheated. That's why they get cheating Guru. That's what Prabhupada says. They want to be cheated. I don't know why, like, it's Prabhupada's statement. Why would people want to be cheated? I don't know why.
What you said. You said the answer. They don't have enough piety to get the authorized guru.
Yeah, right. So they want to be cheated, so they get a cheating guru. So,
I mean, they're willing to settle for crumbs. They're willing to settle for things that look easy. And so whatever credits, I mean, it's like that, right? You go to a shop, you see something glittering, and you wanted to go and buy diamonds, but you know that you don't have that money. You cannot follow the principles, find the authorized guru, follow the process. You don't want to do that. So you just settle for whatever money you have, whatever piety you can say you have, you settle for that. And one thing I was thinking is like, for example, this particular guy I'm thinking of, the one we're talking about, that guy, he has this religious organization where he doesn't train any other leaders. It's all about him. It's not like, for example, Prabhupada, this is what attracts me the most to Prabhupada. It always did, and it always like, that's like Acharya Parampara thing. Prabhupada never put the focus on himself. Never. He was always giving credits to the Parampara, and he was always like, he created one organization, and he wanted many gurus, and like the system is very different. And that it gives you faith because there is so much wisdom there, and it's not for power and position. Prabhupada used the knowledge. And then another thing that comes to my mind is also how Krishna or Shiva how clever they are. I was in that place, no, near Kerala, Coimbatore. There is this huge Shiva deity, and how clever Krishna can be to this guy who is so full of himself and thinking that he's a great guru and whatever. Shiva, I mean, Krishna got service done by this guy also, by establishing this amazing big Lord Shiva, which will stay. It's going to stay for, I don't know, hundreds of years maybe. But this guy is going to die. And along with him, all the enjoying thing also will die. And then who knows what he'll be born as next life. Garuda Purana says you'll be born blind if you mislead people. So
Oh my God. Wow.
we should not mislead others because, so like that. But Krishna is very clever. He knows how to get some service done even through these people. When I saw that Shiva, that's what I thought there. How Krishna is clever. He gets, like this guy wanted to build the biggest Shiva and blah, blah, blah. And Krishna is like, whatever you're going to think, that's temporary, but build this, that will be there for others, to take shelter like that.
Right.
Also with us, Krishna is like that. Oh, you have this material desire? Okay, how do you say? I'm going to ignore that. And let me take what a good thing you have. Of course, like you always say, Tarani Radha, that to give example, say, of Putana, that Krishna actually accepts the intention of, oh no, not intention, either the intention or the action, whichever is superior or whichever is better, he accepts it. Of course, in Putana's case, we know, right? She was the daughter of Bali Maharaj, who saw cute Vamana Dev, and then she thought, oh, he's so cute. I wish I could have a son like that. And then when she saw him growing and taking away the whole property of her father, taking over the whole universe and everything, she also became a little bit angry. And then she said, as a mother, I'm not going to feed milk, I'm going to feed you poison. And then Krishna fulfilled the desire. So next lifetime she was Putana. And then, of course, she later on becomes Kubja in Krishna's pastimes. She's still, the desire for Krishna remained, right? And all the desire to want to be the mother remained. And then got purified, and then she still wanted to, she was in love with Krishna. And then Krishna, of course, came and rectified her in all ways possible. So Krishna he has a purpose behind every action, even the impious. Oh yeah, this important thing about piety. I remember Prabhupada, right? He was saying to one of the disciples, oh, I don't know what pious things I have done, what great things I've done to receive Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada said, you have done nothing. It's just me. So Vidhura, he is being that Prabhupada to these people in one sense, that he's trying to equip himself so that he can deliver the people of this world. Even these kind of people get influenced by atheistic philosophies. It's our mood, right? We want to help others.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, would you like to read a little bit?
Yeah,
Tarun,
sure.
would you like to read?
Yeah, sure. It's confusing how the pure soul becomes bewildered. After all, he's always conscious. So how does he forget his true spiritual nature and become so foolish? Especially as the super soul always guides him, it is difficult to understand how the eternal living entities fall into misfortune and misery. Vidura spoke in a pained voice. O greatly learned one, I cannot resolve these doubts, and thus my mind is very much distressed. I therefore beg you to dispel them. At first, Maitreya appeared confounded by the apparent paradoxes Vidura had presented. The Lord is completely spiritual, and yet matter comes from him. He has no worldly desire, but he interacts with the material energy. The soul is always conscious, but somehow he forgets himself and falls into ignorance. And although the all powerful well wisher of all living beings guides us from within the heart, we still suffer. Maitreya mentally prayed to the Lord before replying. Let me summarize the first two misconceptions. Atheistic logicians contend that since the modes of nature come from Vishnu, the supreme Brahman, and exist in him, they must therefore influence him. This, however, makes no sense because the supreme, by definition, cannot be overpowered by his own subordinate energy. Actually, he is producing the material world from himself and yet remaining aloof from it. Cannot be understood by logic. Here, here though, is an analogy to help you understand. Maitreya described how the sun creates cloud, rain, snow by its energy, yet none of these affect the powerful sun in any way. Only the living beings are covered by clouds. In the same way, it is only the individual souls who become conditioned by the modes of nature because they are minute and weak. However, when they realize the form, knowledge, and bliss of Krishna, they are at once freed from illusion. What then of the Lord Himself?
Very
Yeah,
beautiful.
this is beautiful. The analogy itself is like so super excellent, right? Every time we look at the clouds, we can say, yes, we're covered, we're covered. Yeah, right? Very nice.
One thing, yesterday we were discussing.
The sky is so overcast with clouds today. I'm just looking outside.
Krishna consciousness is like a sweet shop. And then our conditioning with modes of nature, whether it be questions, whether it be desires, whether it be doubts, we are going into a sweet shop and asking, can I buy chappal here? Is there some chappal here? So sometimes we do not realize the sweetness and the depth of Krishna consciousness that we are trying to, like find some material, mundane kind of things and illusory things where actually we can find so much nectar. And if we want to go in that direction of understanding Krishna, wanting to be in love with Krishna, then we have to go a little bit away from that rational mind, a little bit. Otherwise, there's always this kind of, it makes us very confused,
The rational mind can actually be used to understand scripture.
Exactly.
Somebody's very much rational, and then they want to understand. Prabhupada said, we have all sorts of texts. I mean, we have everything in Krishna consciousness. You want to do like that? There's so much scriptures, written by Goswami. Just go try to understand that, and then use all the rational faculty in that. Then you'll find very much bliss. Some people are like that. They want it really complicated. My Maharaj says, it's like Krishna consciousness is very simple for the simple,
Yeah.
As complicated. People just make it complicated. They feel like, really? It's so simple. It can't be. Come on, give me something more complicated. Maharaj is like, it's simple. It is just simple, It's simple for this simple. And actually, it is very simple. But to follow it, it's very difficult. Why? Because we are so complicated. Our minds are so complicated. We are so used to things so complicated, right? In this world. So we feel this should also be complicated. How can it be so easy to go back to the material, spiritual world? Go back to Krishna. It can't be so easy. Come on, right? Of course, in one sense, it's not easy, but the process is very easy. You should have faith. And as you said, associate with the right kind of people.
Yeah, associate with people who have faith.
Yeah, right.
Because yes, somebody may be very thinking, rational and this and that, knowledgeable, but they may not have much faith. So faith is the most difficult thing to get in this world. Shraddha mulye shuddha naam hati te bikai. So the price to pay for pure holy name is that faith. Faith is the currency with which we can actually buy Krishna conscious credits.
Even we talk about faith, I'm reminded of the story about the Brahmana, right? I mean, Narada Muni.
Yeah.
They meet the cobbler and that cobbler and then the Brahman, remember?
Right.
But Lord, he has faith that Vishnu can, he can thread the elephant through the eye of a needle. And he'll say, yes, if the whole banyan tree can be, coming out from a small seed, why not that? Look at the depth of his faith. Like, wow.
Yeah, I love that example. That's a perfect example of
Faith.
yeah, faith versus rational understanding or something. Yeah, actually, it's a blessing. I'm telling you. I'm seeing more and more with charts of people. It's such a blessing to have that faith. Some people just don't have it. They didn't earn it. They didn't focus on that. They may have money. They may have so many other things, but they just don't have the faith in their chart. And because of the faith, they also make wrong decisions. They attract wrong husbands. They really it's like a ripple effect. What do you, not ripple effect, was it called? You do one thing and then the one thing you do, you don't have faith, and then that leads you to another thing which complicates, and then the other thing and the other thing, like that. It's
Cascading effect.
yeah, yeah, cascading effect, exactly. One point I wanted to say, like I said, Krishna consciousness is like a sweet shop, and we don't go there asking for
Chuckles.
chappals, like that. The opposite is also true, that like going into a hardware shop and asking for bread. So that's like finding love in this world, right?
Wow. So beautiful. Yeah, so beautiful.
I've been telling that analogy to myself, like, this is a hardware store, don't look for bread here. So,
Yeah.
I guess
Get it. You just can't get it.
and I guess it's also similar. Like the hardware store is like in this world is like the hardware store. I'm trying to go around finding faith in the material things we cannot find. It's like bread. You go to a bakery to find bread. So similarly, in this material world where it's all like a hardware shop, no amount of knowledge, no amount of wanting to know that, and this can actually give us the taste of what Krishna is like. We need to go to the bakery. There is a lot of nourishing food stuff. I mean, not nourishing necessarily. I mean to say food market, where there is faith that we can buy. Sorry, faith, where we can develop faith so we can earn spiritual credits. See, what I loved about what you said about all these remedies, go do charity, go do this, do that. It's all a way of somehow or another increasing that piety meter, piety account. So if you have a little more faith, you can solve this problem. If you have a little more faith, you'll mess up less.
So true. So true. Actually, that idea just came. I was just trying to say about the Bhagavad Gita, and suddenly somehow the two things just clicked. I'm like, wow, it's Krishna, it's not me.
Absolutely. I love the way you articulated it.
Yeah, it's just him, right? Look at the way Krishna just brings it up.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I was thinking in hardware shop, yes, you can still buy a bread machine and then we can make bread and still offer it to Krishna. We can use like this material world in the service of Krishna. Whatever in the store, in this material world, whatever we can use it. Just like, in the Charitamrita saying, this tongue is material. How can this tongue chant the pure transcendental holy name? It cannot. But then we're going to be using this material tongue to keep on chanting. And then that holy name will descend, and then the transcendental holy name will be descending. So we are using a material thing to access something which is spiritual. Can that be done? But that's the way to do it. And then spiritual thing will automatically come and make the tongue spiritual, like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for example, okay, in this material world, we may not receive bread, right? In the sense we walk around in the hardware store, oh, love me, I want to find belonging, accept me, love me, love me, love me. We go around maybe like looking for bread, right? And as you said, we need to understand that, no, I'm not going to find bread here, but these disappointments and these expectations are the bread machine, which can lead me to Krishna, with which, I can, because this disappointment is also necessary. the opposite of faith is also necessary. That hopelessness is also necessary, because without that hopelessness, how will we ever come to faith? If in this world everything works out nice, or somehow or another we're managing and we're not hitting the rock bottom, it's hard. It's so that's why it's good to hit the rock bottom.
Yeah, right.
Good to be starving and walking around the hardware store and realizing that I'm not going to find bread here. That moment of realization. It'll get us out of the hardware store so we can go ahead and find it in the right place. So we can end studying here.